All right, ladies and gents, here we got her, the Krista Morton. This is the A Legend is Born podcast / experience / show / wrap up event for you in your last 6 months working with myself, Leaders of Legends, the Pillars of Growth community. Krista, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so good. I'm so happy to be doing this.
Me too, dude. I'm excited for everyone to hear your story because it's just truly magnificent. But first, maybe a little bit of background on you and sort of just like the style of coaching that you do and who you are and some of that stuff real quick.
Sure. So I like to call myself an integrative healer. So part health coach with integrative nutrition, mindset work, emotional trauma healing, and somatic movement. So kind of a blend of all those things. I have a background in integrative health and lots of dance and yoga and movement, but also that nutrition and Chinese medicine background. So kind of integrates in, and I love coaching emotional health through all of those modalities. And I help people to make their lives their medicine through integrated nutrition, emotional healing, and spiritual connection.
Make your life your medicine. Let's go. We're doing it today. So, dude, obviously, like we connected through someone who's already in the program right now. And you started off by doing the initial challenge that I hosted. Could you shed some light on that and just sort of where you were at the time coming into that challenge and sort of how that process and how that experience put you in position to obviously join our community?
Yeah, absolutely. So the mutual friend, I had reached out and said, hey, do you know a business coach, like a year prior to that challenge? And we'd always stayed kind of connected over social media. I'd be like, oh, this guy Graham keeps commenting on my stuff, and always like keeping an eye out, but never ready to take the plunge. And then she sent me your challenge. I'm like, oh, I could do a free challenge. Like, I'm all in for that.
Yeah.
So signed up for the challenge. And I honestly think it was like day 3. And we did some emotional work and some breakthrough. And you were coaching me specifically for like 20 minutes of the call. And I just remember like feeling like, oh my gosh, I literally don't have a choice. Like, I'm going to have to coach with this guy after this challenge. And I knew that like day 3, and the amount of value that I got just within those like 3 days. I mean, the whole challenge is 10 days long. Amazing. But I knew that my life was never going to be the same after that, and that I had to surrender to this process.
Remember like it was yesterday, seeing your face start twitching. I was like, oh yeah, this is going down, dude.
Yep.
And I think that's so cool that like the challenge really was the thing that like opened it up for you. As I know many people who are working with us right now, like challenges are really important. So I'm fired up that was effective and useful for you. And obviously that like opened the door, which I think is so important because, you know, it really is easy for like your friends just to send you, oh, this guy is really great, you should check him out. But it's different when you actually get the touch. And so that's what I felt like, you know, I wanted to bring to the challenge. And I'm glad that you felt that. And so my next question is just to sort of like pre-frame this whole conversation as far as people really understanding where you were. How would you describe where you were personally and professionally before you joined Leaders of the Legends? So personally, like where were you at? Like what pieces of yourself were you not even aware of that you are now? And professionally, like where was your business at? Like working with clients, what you were charging, that kind of thing for open to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the best way to describe both areas were like complete dumpster fire, like just total dumpster fire. Emotionally, I was at like the lowest of lows, and like right before the challenge. And I think joining the challenge for me was like a moment of, okay, I need to make a shift somehow. Like this is either going to be, I'm going to give up on my dream, or I'm just going to give it one last shot, because I had relaunched my business last July and have been coaching for about 3 years now, 2.5, maybe 2.5, 3. And with that like relaunch, it was kind of like, I got 2 people, like they paid up front right away, but I was charging really, really low, like ridiculous, like 200, 250 a month low to do like weekly calls, going in with these clients on a lot of just nutrition work. And I knew that there was something more. I have always been into like the emotional side of things. I am very responsive to like somatic work, that mind body connection. And I didn't know how to bridge that gap. Like I kept these worlds separate. And, you know, now hindsight, I know that I just wasn't aligned, and that's why I wasn't launching. But yeah, I was kind of like, okay, well, I now have 0 clients December before the January challenge, like 0 clients. And I think when I joined the challenge, I had 2 clients, and it was just like very low. Like I was charging a la carte, didn't have a, didn't have an asset, didn't have a program to offer them. I was like, well, we can coach, and this is how much an a la carte session is. So, really just like unsustainable. I would have had to coach a ridiculously amount of clients to even get to anywhere sustainable full time.
Right.
So, I mean, that was professional. Personal, I was really, really low. I mean, coming out of like a very dark couple of months, like, and I mean, not even coming out, I was in the thick of it, to be honest with you, like, and super honestly depressed and low, and coming off of really rough, like breakup, and just tanked all around. I didn't know where I wanted to live. I was still living with my parents, like all of just dumpster fire all around. It was just all around a dumpster fire.
Dude, one thing I love about you that never gets old is hearing that laugh of like, yeah, this is really how it was. I think that it takes a lot of courage to always just be like, oh, like to let your laugh be so vulnerable and authentic. And I just love that. Whenever I hear that, I know like we're really getting somewhere. And obviously that's like, I think what made this experience really, really great for me is like you always showed up in that way. So for everyone listening to this, be aware and be advised that like the reason that Krista got the results that she's about to tell you about is because she showed up every single week. And even in between those weeks, she utilized as much of the time for myself and the group calls as she possibly could. And so with that said, Krista, bridge that gap. That's where you were. Where are you at now, professionally, personally?
Do you want me to talk about like leading up, or just now and we'll go back?
Yeah, however you feel. If you want to lead it up, that's cool too. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I mean, we dove into like so much emotional work, and I remember like getting really clear on vision, mission, values right away, and dissecting out like exactly what I wanted this to be. And as soon as I did that, things started to shift. Like it was like, okay, boom, instantaneously. I signed on like 2 clients, and it was double. I was charging double what I was previously. So that was cool. Still wasn't like where I wanted to be, but I was like, all right, cool. Like the double. Yeah, let's go.
On your first new offering. Sick.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was very excited about it. Totally aligned with the client. And then, we started to dive into like formulating a challenge. Like I remember just wanting to just go in, and I'm a very like all or nothing type of a personality, which I've gotten better at over the last 6 months, but I was like full throttle, let's go right away. And wanted to do that challenge. And the challenge like instantaneously bonded like a ton of women together. And I realized that I needed to come up with a way to keep that community together. And I hadn't realized that the community aspect was so important, which was a huge part of my healing journey, because I have been very much, kind of like a 6 feet away type of person, like go over there. Like, I don't want you to be too close to me, because of past, traumas and experiences and broken friendships. And that to me, like seeing these women come together was like, whoa, okay, like this program is the glue. And so I have to now trust other people around me to like be in this community and like hold on to them basically. So that was part of my healing journey too. I felt was surrendering to trusting like other people, really like trusting other people, not only in the POG community, but in my own. I was like, whoa, I have to be 100% in because I'm leading this pack. Like I have to be here all the time. So doing that challenge, like 7 of those clients converted over from that challenge. And it was like one-on-ones and group all at once.
And that was and just so everyone's clear, that was a free challenge that we created that she could offer. So when people tell you that doesn't work, know that everything works as long as you feel really good about it and you believe in it. Go ahead, Krista.
Yeah, it totally works. And I think it took like a very special group of people to like make that conversion over, but they bonded fast. So, right away we started like the one-on-one calls and the group coaching, and I was still pretty low ticket, but I was bringing community in. So that was what my priority was at that point in time. And I think that, again, that was where I was at in my own personal healing journey too, was I needed like the proof almost that I could spearhead this thing. Like I remember my main limiting belief when I came into the it doesn't work. After that challenge and like implementing parts and memory work for the first time, going deeper on that emotional somatic level for the very first time with clients, and not just coming off as a nutrition coach, really digging into that next layer for me was like the proof that, whoa, okay, this is like my soul's calling. This is why it hasn't worked in the past. So doing that challenge, having that community, that was like, okay, proof, let's go, let's do it. And I remember like shifting gears a little bit after we had really like, okay, cool, we've got a community together, they're gelled, we have vision, mission, values, started building my assets, started building my signature program, Boundless. We dove into like so much emotional work. And I was all in for the MBS side of things, the very beginning of the program, but like our one-on-one calls were the juice. Like that's where the magic happens. And, so, I mean, like timeline wise, this is like March that I ran the Chain Breaker Challenge, what name of my challenge is called, in March, and all of those clients converted over. And I remember writing in March, on March 22nd, that on May 22nd, I would be a full-time coach and I would be moved out. I was living in my parents' house. And when I joined your program, I mean, like financially, I was like not like, I had just enough money to like put a down payment on. And I was like, Graham, I don't know what's going to happen after this. Like, I really don't like, I'm so sorry. But it happened. It started building. And, you know, I didn't have hardly anything to my name. And I believed like full-heartedly that was going to happen. And it was really the first time I would say in my spiritual growth journey that I have put like authentic faith and manifestation to the test. So like, I am very faith-based. I love God so much. I like totally like that has been a very strong keystone of my life, but I wasn't embodying or living out my faith in that regard, I think, until that moment where I was like, okay, let's see if this actually works. And did something that was like in my brain, like dangerous, like too far ahead of like timeline wise. And I'm like, all right, we're just gonna do this. So I remember writing that down on March 22nd, and we keep going, we keep coaching, and and then I signed some more clients. My prices kept kind of trickling up a little bit by little bit. And I remember the 1 week, I think I landed like 3 clients that pushed me to full time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have the ability to do this now. I can do that goal of moving out and being a full-time coach by May 22nd. And I was living in New Jersey at the beginning of this whole thing. And I found an apartment on Facebook Marketplace. And I called them. They were in South Carolina. And I called and I said, you know, I wanted sublease, a sublease situation. They were like, when do you want to move in? I said, May 22nd. And it was like, boom, like manifestation was like there. God totally provided all the means. Like, here's the down payment, the whole 9 yards. And by April, I was a full-time coach. And so like December, like 2 clients, April 15, like it was like, whoa, it happened very, very fast and very unexpected.
We started in February. So literally like 8 weeks.
Yeah. Very, very fast turnaround, which was amazing. And then I remember really digging in to like the core of my emotional block. Like this happened in April, because it was almost like all this stuff happened and I was like tunnel vision, because I think I wanted a way out of where I was at so badly that I was like, we got to go right now. Like I have to get out of this dumpster fire. Right. And when I hit that point, you know, I think that I was reaching that upper limit issue of like, whoa, okay, hang on. Like, this is really going to challenge me to release like all of my previous identity. And I remember diving in so deeply to something that I didn't even realize was within myself, which was codependency. And leaving and moving to a brand new place on my own, like the reality of that happening in my mind was like, this is going to be awesome, like cool, such a great adventure. And then when it actually came down to like, you're going to sign the lease, it was like, oh my God, no, like I can't do it. And that call I will never forget, because we had so many calls that were amazing and so many like parts and memory sessions and just awesome emotional work. But this call, like I will never forget, because my life was never the same after that. I growing up was always like a very bubbly person and like funny and fun and like outgoing up until probably like high school. And then I started to pull in and be like really reserved. And I always just felt like I wasn't me, but kind of was like, well, like, I guess it's just how I am now. And we dug into that emotional work. And I remember just like releasing so many emotions. I've watched that call back like 2 or 3 times just to like really remember. And I probably will continue to do that throughout my journey, just to remind myself like this is your story and this is where you're at now. And you can let go of those parts when they try to infiltrate you again. And I remember working through like codependency and not even realizing it was there. and and also just like, childhood trauma wounds and saying what I needed to say for the first time. Like me speaking my truth was a huge roadblock for me. Like I'm a people pleaser. I don't like to say what I need to say. And that unlocked so much, like, get it out for me. Like I needed to say all that. And I remember right after that call, like going to the beach and like feeling like I was like 6 again, like just running around carefree. And that started to stick with me. Like that personality, I felt like was like injected back into my body, like how I used to be. And nothing was the same after that. I knew why I was sabotaging myself, why I was unclear about my decision making, why I was blocking people off from a relationship when all I really wanted was deep connection and didn't receive all of the emotional availability that I needed as a child. So I convinced myself I didn't want it or didn't need it, right? It's like all these things we're most afraid of the thing that we desire the most. So when we do experience or take that risk and then we get burned, it's like catastrophic for us. So knowing that that was the reality was this whole new sense of freedom of like, if I can step into interdependence and really know that I have everything that I need within myself and with my connection to God, then it doesn't matter if people walk in or out of my life. It doesn't matter if clients walk in or out of my life. It doesn't matter what happens from this point out. I can live at peace within myself. If I can learn how to master this, then I'm okay. I can receive those things now as a gift. And that's when I knew that moving to a different state by myself where I knew nobody was the only way to answer that or find the solution to that problem, basically. So yeah, so I moved on May 22nd, like I wrote in my journal. It was great. It was so fun. And yeah, I mean, I moved and things were just they were so good. It was so much smoother than I anticipated it to be. And we continued to work through blocks of like relationship and business mindset and loneliness. Like that was a whole new challenge for me. It was like sitting in loneliness, which I didn't really expect to come up. Cause again, I really do like to be by myself a lot. I'm a very like kind of lone wolf type of a personality. I need to be in my own energy a lot. But sitting in the uncomfortability of like being alone was a whole new roadblock for me, that I didn't expect. And the thing that I was looking forward to the most, which was like going to a brand new place, not knowing anyone, was now the thing that was like the big dark cloud. It's like, oh, I need to know somebody, like need someone. And I started to dive into just, meeting people and getting to know people in the area, integrating myself, but I didn't really fully like uncover the rug until we went on this retreat in August. And the thing that I was like avoiding sitting with totally like unleashed. It was crazy. And like business wise, it was so funny because like things were good. Like I was signing new clients up until May. I didn't sign anybody. I was moving, transitioning, but I felt like in my spirit, like I wouldn't have been able to handle that at that moment because there's so many other things going on. June signed a couple new peeps at the highest that I've ever signed. It was awesome. Yeah, that was like the price that I never thought that I would be able to charge. Like when I joined and you were like, yeah, this is what you should be charging people. I was like, okay, like I don't know if I'm gonna
How
get
much?
this
How much more was it than the original price? Just
in
so
the
people can
original
understand.
price. Oh, dear Lord, like what is that? Like 5 times more? It was like
Given that,
5 times more a month. Yeah. I didn't think I was going to get there. Like I knew that that was what some of the other coaches were doing. And I was seeing it in the chats and I was like, wow, like so-and-so is so worth that much and this and that. And I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to get there. And then I just hit a point where I was like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. Like I'm ready. And I remember stepping into like feeling like I was worthy enough after I started to see some of my client wins. I was like, oh wait, like I'm a powerful coach. I can do this and I can charge like what I'm worth. And I did it. And it was like you said to us, there's not going to be resistance when they're aligned. It was like, yeah, that seems reasonable. Cool. Like, let's do it. So, coaching wise, business wise, like things were flowing. July, I was kind of in that slump. And I knew in my gut, I was like, there's an emotional block here. Like there's something that I have not worked through that I need to work through. And when we went on that retreat, everything that I was like avoiding sitting with, which was like embodying the essence of myself and like my femininity and who I am as an artist and a coach and a mover and just personal self-expression, that was like just a whole new level of awareness. And truly, like I have come back not the same at all. And I came back and signed like 3 clients and had my biggest month yet. Yeah.
And what's that big month? Just break the ice for him, man.
Guys, that big month was my first 10K month.
Oh, let's go. Hold on, wait. So you get paid what you want to do work that your God-given talents allow you to do. And that's cool?
So cool.
Okay. Just want to make sure for everybody out there to know that it's all right, that we're allowed.
Give yourself the permission.
Come on. So good.
Yeah. So, I came back with like a whole new vision of where I want my company to go and the things that I want to integrate in. I was realizing that like there needs to be more of this expression. And now like I've got one-on-one coaching. I've got the signature program. It's built out and, people can come in as a one-on-one. They can even purchase it as an automated course if they're not quite ready for one-on-one coaching. I have a group program. We like meet 2 to 3 times a week. We have a workshop-y, very topic specific call. We're going to be merging into a Hear You Zoom, which is like kind of everybody gets to just speak their truth. It's like when you hit midweek and you're aggravated and you want to call your friend and like talk it out. It's like, that's the kind of call it is. Like, let's hear each other. Let's practice holding space. And then we have a fitness class or a movement class with my assistant coach, and she runs like these awesome bodyweight movement classes, and everybody comes on and they're in their own space and we're doing jumping jacks, we're doing like the Macarena and like all this fun stuff. So it's great. And now we're branching out into like launching this movement academy that's going to be in person and virtual, this hybrid, because something that was really difficult for me was leaving New Jersey because of the community that I had built there. I run a somatics workshop that is kind of my own like tested method that I worked on in my graduate program. And it's like my baby. Like that preceded the launch of Boundless, which is the one-on-one coaching program. And so I travel a lot back to New Jersey. My vision is to take it to different parts of the country and to train teachers to run the classes the way that I run them, so that it doesn't have to be local and central to one spot. Because, when I was in New Jersey, like my environment was misaligned, but what I was doing was in alignment. And then I felt like it flipped when I moved down here. It was like my environment was aligned. I'm super happy in South Carolina. But I was missing that like piece of self-expression, even though I was like going really hard into my business. And I needed to figure out a way to like bridge that gap, because I believe there's always a way to do whatever it is that's on your heart. Like you've been given desires for a reason, and there's always a way to fulfill those desires if they are in alignment with your truth. And I knew that was in alignment with my truth. So we're bridging the gap now. We're doing this hybrid movement academy to kind of finish out this year of 2021. Like that is the big project, to merge these 2 worlds together and really give people an immersive experience by bringing in support coaches and other instructors, which is awesome. And yeah, so that is kind of the place I'm at now, like business wise and growth wise. And for myself, like I've never enjoyed sitting in like my space more, like coming back from the retreat and working through what I was avoiding sitting with, like that was the loneliness. It wasn't that I actually needed anybody around, but it was that I needed to sit in the stuff I was avoiding in order to come back and feel really good about like being in my own space, being my own energy. And I feel like my apartment now is like my little sanctuary. Like I love being here by myself. And you know, aside from that, like we say, everything always, I remember the one call, that big call, I said, when everything, when you step into alignment, everything falls into place, right? Like personally, professionally, relationally. And I am now in a new, very happy, aligned relationship. Like things are just so abundant and good and fruitful. And there are definitely challenges to still work through, right? Like the journey always continues. And for me, it's a bit with my health, and I won't get into that, but misdiagnosis and whatnot. But that's my journey now that I'm working through. But I don't think that I would be in the place to really come at that with like this peace and just this fullness of like gratitude and appreciation for where I've come from if the timing hadn't been as it was. So yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
Major changes, dude, literally from like 2 clients to 2 assistant coaches to having a whole business flowing with you to your first 10K month to, it sounds like, quadrupling or I don't know, pentagonaling your prices, right? And just increasing them 5x, 6x, and getting to that place where you feel confident in sharing that. But most importantly, the thing that I want to focus on right here, because it's the thing that I think that a lot of people struggle with, is just integrating those parts of yourself, right? Your ability as a coach with nutrition and movement, and your ability as a coach with deeper emotional work. And so my question to you is this, because I think it's really important for people to understand that process of how we do that. What do you feel like we did together that I helped you do, or that the community helped you do, to integrate those pieces of who you are?
There's so many things. I think the thing that stands out to me the most was you calling me out on codependence and calling me out on my lack of self-trust, that I didn't need to generate anything. I just needed to trust what was already there. And the community helps to do that as well. They were like, hey, you got all this stuff going on. Like, can you just believe in it? Can you believe in your ability to trust what you've already got? Like trust your own sauce, basically. And hearing that, and also seeing how everybody else can move forward so quickly when they just embody their own special offering, their own specialized knowledge, that was so inspiring. And it made me want to embody that for myself. You know, it's like you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and immersing myself in as many group calls as possible, in going on the retreat and spending 9 days out with just the most incredible people. Like that inspired me to desire to step into the fullest version of myself because of how I felt when I got to talk or be with them. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
What do you feel like were some, I know you mentioned a bunch, but are there any specific other key moments in our time together, working together, that really stick out to you?
The first one was the extraction of my vision, which is make your life your medicine. I mean, that was like, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to come up with this. Like, I never had like a slogan or what, you know, a really hardcore vision. And I remember like saying it, and you just pulled it out of me. And I'm kind of like, you role play a lot in calls, right? Like, and I'm like, I just don't feel like I am like super authentic when that happens. Like, I feel like I overthink it. And then we just got flowing. We got into conversation. I remember you like plucking it out, and I was like, whoa, wait, that's the thing. That's the thing that I wanted to do this whole time. So that moment sticks out to me. And of course the big like codependent call sticks out to me big time. Like that was just a ridiculous level of like, we're going in.
Going in, yes.
Parts and memory work. I remember having a call with Autumn, actually, that sticks out in my brain as part of my journey. And when I got here, like you were always just celebrating every single moment, like right along with me. And that, like, having somebody, I think the concept of borrowing belief is really awesome. And I certainly borrowed an immense amount of your belief in the process and your belief in me throughout this whole process. And so, like, the very beginning, like onboarding, like when I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this, and you're like, just trust it, like you're gonna be fine, dude. Like, that sticks out to me when I got here. Like, you know, just you celebrating with me, like I continued to borrow your belief until I fully stepped into, like, oh wow, I know this is where I'm supposed to be. This is working. And I can do this forever. So yeah, I think, like, as far as calls go, like those couple of moments really stand out, but just conceptually throughout the whole process, like borrowing your belief, because you're such a hype man, like you celebrate right along with us the whole entire time, yeah, with maracas and swords and all of this, like you just hype us up. And that, I needed that, like, excitement and that energy. And I remember one of the things that you asked me what I needed out of a community or out of a coach. And one of the things that I said that I needed was to have more fun. And you totally made sure I had more fun. Like, I started having more fun and giving myself permission to rest and try new things, and do social media in a different way and do all these things because they felt good. Like you saying, give yourself permission in every regard, right? And like, have more fun. Having more fun was something, like, I needed to break the mold as that type A people pleaser. And I fully believe and surrender to that. Like, if doing less is going to put you in a space to be in a better energy and essence so that others receive a more potent version of yourself, then, like, I'm all in. Like, I won't work for this amount of time, right? And so, like, that was something that really sticks out to me too, because I have been like a workaholic for the greater part of like teenage into young adulthood. I'm like full throttle, let's go. And so that, you teaching that to me, and then me seeing the fruit of that process and how much more rich of an experience that is, not only for myself, but then for those receiving my services, for my clients, like that was amazing. Like I didn't realize that was a thing until we started working together. So that I'm very grateful for.
That's a perfect segue into just like, I know you've worked with other people before too, and you've been exposed to a lot of different coaches. What do you feel like working with me, or what do you feel like makes working with me unique? And maybe some insight into like that process. How, again, integration between the business side and the personal side.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had talked to a couple of business coaches before working with you, and they were all like strategy. It was all business strategy. And in comparison to working with you, not that there's no business strategy, because there is, but it's way less about a formula and more about your formula, like my formula, rather, like figuring out what my formula is to optimize my energy flow within my business. And that was something that nobody else I had previously talked to had taken into consideration. Like, how do you function best based on who you are, what your personality type is, what are your strengths and weaknesses, and how can we lean into those instead of resisting them with this like formulated business strategy? And that really differentiated. And then I had done one like emotional, I've worked with therapists and things before, but one like emotional healing course before, and it was good, but there was no like one-on-one interaction like there is with you. Like the one-on-ones were like 30 minutes long. And I mean, sometimes we are on the phone for like an hour and a half, and you don't just leave us out in the middle of the ocean. If we're in the middle of an emotional breakthrough, you're not like, okay, hour's up, time's done. Like, it's not like that. Like, you take time and you're right there, like steering the ship. And I never felt abandoned through this entire process. Like after calls too, like the checking in, because we were doing like heavy emotional work at some points in the program, like bridging those two gaps together of, you were always celebrating and having us say specifics about wins in our business so that we can amplify and make that grow and write it down. Right. And share it with the group so that energy grew. And then on a personal note, like you were always steering the ship and you were always right there, but not in a way where like we had to be completely reliant on you. Like there was no codependence. It was just like, I'm here, you're doing your thing, but I'm not going to leave the ship till we're back to the shore kind of thing. And that feeling was like awesome because I never feel like I got to flush out what I needed to flush out because I was on this timer with other coaches or I was following a formula that didn't work for me. So
Right.
everything was very bio individual with you.
Bio individual. Nice. I've never heard anyone describe me like that. Good. Yeah, I agree. I think that was sweet. And again, I think that for leaders and the legends, it's important for people to know that, like, for me personally, I also bridged, it was hard. It took time for me to bridge that gap between like physical growth and development as a fitness coach and spiritual, emotional integration, mindset work, and really just show up as that experience, just embodiment of the experience. So I think you do just such a great job of that. And I'm grateful for those words on it. Other question for you is, what do you feel like about the group experience you enjoyed the most?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I mean, I've made some of my best friends in this group, and some of them I've never even met before, but like our instantaneous bond and like, I mean, everybody of course is emotionally aware because they're a coach. Like this is just the nature of, of the community, but the authenticity and the genuine love and care that everybody has, there's no like when somebody puts a win in the chat, there's no like jealousy, there's none of that. There's like just love, there's pure love. And it actually, like for the first time in my life, like it makes me excited to share a win rather than nervous, because that was, I think that's a piece of a lot of our stories. It's like when I share and celebrate the wins in my life, like other people might feel kind of weird about that. And celebrating with other people and then having other people celebrate with me and being very open was, first of all, that was like, did so much healing for me personally. And then the calling each other out and being able to mentor each other on like study halls and things like that. I mean, now at this point, like I've built such tight relationships that like the other day I was on with, a couple of the coaches, and I have a weekly call with a coach. I've never met her before, but we're like this, and it's awesome. Like we are so tight, and I know that I have built lifelong friends through this program, not just to like, talk about the weather, but to really get in and like call each other out and have deep conversations and push each other to the next level, both personally and professionally, because everybody in this group understands that the two are inseparable.
Well said, Krista. I have like 2 more questions, and this one I want to like be very direct with because I think it's really important. Obviously, part of this experience is learning business skills that you can use for the rest of your life. So I want you just to share like the top business skills you feel like you're leaving with and how they impacted your business financially. And you kind of like mentioned a couple times during this, but like when you were starting, like roughly where were you at, and now roughly where are you at, and then what's the trajectory with this for the rest of the year, just so that people can really understand like what happens when you show up in this experience and you give your all. You show up every week, you show up to the group calls, you're honest with yourself, you're honest with me, and then you implement the things for yourself quickly. What happens?
Yeah. So I think before this, I had no strategy. I mean, I was like, can you just coach with me? You want to coach with me? And we'll just do it. It'll be great. And it was more of the desire just to like use my gifts, and not that I didn't see the worth, but I didn't even feel like I had a point of reference of like, this is what you should be charging, and this is what you're worth. And I didn't have that awareness that like, without being in alignment, I was not going to succeed. I was not going to succeed, and I was not going to be fulfilled, right? Because like success without fulfillment is the biggest failure. So like that needed to be bridged for me. So that was the first thing that I learned, was like, when I'm not in alignment with my vision, mission, values, and in my schedule, and in my environment, and in my relationships, like things tank. It's not good. And so when things start to not go so good, I have to like take a zoom out and say like, what's not in alignment in my life right now? And that skill was something that I was definitely not aware of before we started working together. So I know that that's a little bit business and personal, but again, like I am now,
Business scanning. I like
yeah,
that.
it's
Good.
like, it's just so intertwined. So, that's the first thing. Second thing was like, don't lower your energetic offer because you just want to work with somebody. And that has been so freeing to fully embody once I got out of that like fear and scarcity mindset of like, well, what if somebody else doesn't walk through the door? No, like saying no to somebody or the client that ghosts me after call 3, like those are the clients that weren't energetically aligned. And if I can have that perspective rather than like, oh my God, I just lost my next client, then the highest ticket client that you've ever had just walked through the door next.
Right.
And that principle to me was invaluable because I have, and I think we all have to some degree, some of us more than others, but immense fear of failure. And so with every no, previously it was like, well, this is just, I'd be like, well, I can just change my price for you because I just need you to be a client. And it was this desperation and this scarcity. And so now, like knowing that they're going to come in the door when they're ready to come in the door. And if they're not energetically aligned to like work with me at that level, then they're not ready to do the work. And that was a skill that I had no idea about before this process. I'm so sorry. Let me get that because that's not even my alarm. Hold on.
No worries. And in the meantime, peeps, we can just share also that like with that being said, when we hold our ground and let our clients come up to us energetically, they're actually raising their energy, which is what they're paying us to do when they work with us anyway. So by us holding our ground, we're already doing what we say we're going to do in the program. So we should do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that exactly. I mean, it was just knowing that they were not ready yet and having that perspective rather than like, wow, I didn't succeed at this business strategy.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the last thing was like drawing out the process. Like I would get people on a call right away and just try to like close the deal. And the best way that like now I have the perspective on that is like going out on a first date with somebody and then asking them to marry you. Like that's ridiculous, right? Like there's no way. So learning how to extend my call process and not be selfish and fearful. Like I just wanted to close the deal on that call because I wanted to know that they were going to be a client. Instead, like sitting back and knowing that the more trust that we build, the deeper this relationship is going to be and the more fruitful our time coaching together will be. We were going to have so many wins together. And for the clients that I have embodied that process with, there have been immense wins. Like just I'm like shocked still when I just think about some of the growth that's happened. So that call, drawing out that call process, and then really not being afraid to be creative about how it works for me was awesome. And you encouraged me to do that as I got deeper and a little bit more seasoned. You're like, okay, go ahead and tweak it to work for you. And now I feel so comfortable with my sales process. I don't even like to call it a sales process because it's way more about the relationship. It is. I feel so much more comfortable. I like to call it the onboarding process. I feel so much more confident and comfortable and excited about it when I talk to people now that it is very aligned. I'm not fearful to say what my price is. I know that I'm worth it. And I know that the clients invest in themselves, they will see immense wins because that was my experience with you. This was the most amount of money I've ever invested in myself. And that has brought me to here. So it's worth it.
And that's a great segue into the money. I mean, like, dude, as far as you making some coin for the work that you do at the highest level, how does that play out with your investment versus what you are returning and where your business was financially versus where it's moving?
Yeah. I mean, I've made back 5 times as much as I invested. I'm shooting for 6 figures this year. I am on track for probably about 80K if I'm moving at the pace that I was. But at the beginning of this year, I wasn't charging what I'm charging right now.
Yeah. And they're going to charge more. She's going to charge more. She's going to charge more. We're going to charge more because we're awesome. And that's a lot. You're allowed to be awesome.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It feels good. I'm definitely, I have full faith that 6-figure mark will be met this year. And it's amazing how your vision changes. Like I definitely didn't set out to do that at the beginning of this year. Awareness is everything. Like, and that's something else that you're so direct with, like, okay, do it right now. Like, look at the numbers. Where do you want to be? And I think that part is like so important, of like the awareness, so that you actually can dream big and shoot your shot a little bit further than you might expect yourself to, and just watch it play out.
Right. Expanding the vision. Like what is the all-encompassing vision, right? I think that it's really easy for coaches to be afraid of their students' vision because it might be bigger than theirs. And that's okay. Like that's awesome. And that's why that at the workshop, at the retreat, like I put my whole vision on there, man. Like all the different things that I want to get involved in over the course of my life. And all that does is just expand all view, or give yourself space and permission to be like, oh, wow, I can think that big. There's nothing wrong with thinking that big. In fact, you know what? I have the potential to do that. I can do that too. I can do whatever I want. And so I feel like for you, and I feel like for me too, like I have like rough goals, but they're rough. They're just guidelines. As long as I just do the things that feel really good, the next thing will be right there in front of me. I don't even need to think that hard on it. I know what the macro vision is, but let's bring it into the micro focus. And so I think that you've just done such a great job of that. And it's so cool that that's something that you're sticking with and that you're taking with you. And I think, as far as your investment and all that stuff is concerned, you hitting your first 10K month, moving from like charging a couple $100 to like 1,000 plus. And like, how old are you?
23.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? So freaking amazing, dude. It's been such a pleasure. And I guess my only other question is like, if you had to sum and wrap up this experience all in a few sentences, what would you say? Like, how would you describe the Leaders of Legends experience, including the retreat? Because that is part of what we do as well.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I would say that this experience is a deep dive within yourself to become aware of the layers that you didn't know existed, in order to perpetuate you up to the next level, personally and professionally and relationally, so that you can embody the fullness of yourself, get clear on your vision, and serve with your specific gifts and talents to the best of your ability. And ultimately, like you say, heal others by healing yourself, serving others by healing yourself. And yeah, I mean, that is the process. Like, we serve one world, use our gifts, and embody the fullest version of ourselves through this process. So yeah.
And through that, we make our life our medicine, baby.
Make your life your medicine.
Woo. Dude, thank you so much for just sharing that journey. Obviously, before we get off, I'm going to have you like put in or just drop your IG and all that stuff. People can find you. My only other question is, like, for those people that are out there that might have been in a similar position as you, or who might be in a place where you're at right now and wanting to get to the next level of their business, do you have any insight or anything you can shed, or any words you want to say to those people just to help them better understand the work that we're doing here and the magnitude and power of integration work? Because that's truly what Leaders of Legends is. It's more of an apprenticeship and integration school than it is like a knowledge and strategy.
Yeah. I would say that if you're in this place, and you're on the fence, you really can't do this work by yourself. Like, you can't, because it's not just business strategy. It's not just personal development. It is an immersive experience that you shouldn't feel pressured to do it on your own. Like, you can't do it on your own. You need somebody's guidance to take you that deep. You really do. Coaches need coaches. I live by that principle. Coaches need coaches. Because if you are not up leveling yourself, how are you going to up level your business and your clients? So, if you're on the fence, invest in a coach that's in full alignment with you, because it will amplify all areas of your life tenfold. Like, that is my biggest, just do it. Take the jump. If you feel aligned, do it, and you'll know.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Krista. And as far as people can find you, where can they find you if they want to connect with you?
You can find me on Instagram at Somasonder, SOMASONDER. That's probably the best place to message me. I have a website, somasonder.org. And you can reach out to me, email somasonder@gmail.com. But usually Instagram is the easiest way. I have a podcast if you want to listen to it. It's called Unbound. You find it on Spotify and Apple Music and Anchor and all that jazz. You can type in Unbound or just Krista Morton, KristaMorton. And I'm just excited to talk to anybody who wants to know more about the experience. Like I am so like Graham, I'm like your biggest cheerleader over here. Like I will talk about this experience all day long. So yeah, just like from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Like I just have so much gratitude for you and for trusting me and believing in me in this journey. And so like if anybody needs a hype man, Graham is your man. Yeah, the amount of belief I had to borrow for you throughout this entire process, I wouldn't have landed here if you didn't offer that to me. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor. And I'm so excited to see you continue to grow and expand. I mean, you're 23 years old. I mean, it's literally incredible. You are leaps and bounds ahead of where I was when I was that age. And it's truly a testament to your own belief in yourself. So congratulations to you. Continued luck. Obviously, we have a lot of things planned because Peeps, one thing for you to all be aware of is that I'm not the kind of person that like disappears when the experience is done. Like we're going to work together and we're going to continue to build something special and we're going to integrate into each other. And that's what it means to me to have a real relationship. So I just want you to know that I'm really grateful for you and it's been an honor. And everyone, please follow along her journey and check her out and gain inspiration from her experience and just understand what's possible for you. I mean, literally last year's 0 clients in December, this year, like on pace to hit 6 figures. Like what? I mean, that's like truly amazing and just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg. So Krista, shout out to you. A legend is born in Krista Morton. Everybody let it be known. And as you go, continue to use your gifts, serve one world. You already know, legends find a way. Krista, thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna break it down one more time. What do we got today?
Oh, can we do make your life your medicine?
Yes, on you on 3.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Make your life your medicine, baby. Let's go. Everybody, be good, be safe. Look forward to talking to you all soon, hearing from you. Looking forward to hearing from those of you who are interested in working with us to just take the next step. You truly have nothing to lose except for a bunch of digits on a computer or pieces of paper, however you choose, and you have everything to gain.
Yeah.
So with that said, be good, be safe, everybody. Much love to you always. A legend is born in Krista Morton. Peace, peace.